Okay, good evening. Today, September 9th, 2025, roughly 6 o'clock in the evening. This is a meeting of the Board of Health. It's now called to order. My name is Glenn French. I am the chairman for the Board of Health. This open meeting of the Northborough Board of Health is being conducted in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream or recording of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment, but we're going to take it in. All right, we got a full house tonight. And we have Swati, Delete. Yes. Good. Selwood and Lisa Johnson. And so that'll do that. And of course, myself, Glenn French. I'm a busy meeting, so we're going to go into discussion about domestic animals and fowl and keeping thereof, whether we're going to adopt regulations, not adopt regulations. We're not adopting specific regulations this evening. This is more of a let's hear what the folks have to say, and everybody will get their chance to speak and uninterrupted. And with that in mind, a couple of things I think we've established, or correct me if I'm wrong, with regards to chickens and fowl, I think we're all in agreement that we're not going to ban chicken or fowl in the town of Northborough. We're going to probably regulate keeping thereof, but we're not, as far as I can tell, no one in this board is leaning towards outright banning chicken or fowl. Roosters, on the other hand, seem to getting the boot. So with those two things in mind, more what we're looking is a regulation that will protect the public safety and still allow homeowners the opportunity to urban farm, as they say. And so this would be, we'll listen to the concerns. We'll listen to your, negative and positive as far as keeping and not keeping, not just chickens, but other animals as well. Inevitably, this is going to come up as people get closer and move sort of further away from agricultural society that Northborough was started as, and into more of a rural suburban society that Northborough, and really, frankly, the rest of the place has become. Okay, so with that said, ma'am, you seem to really got something to say.
No,
Let's hear it.
I just wanted to say I'm gonna do 3 minutes for everyone.
3 minutes.
And then name and address.
Name and address and.
Oh, me?
Yep.
I would just, first of all, Patricia Zecco, 100 Jubilee Road, Northborough, Mass. I would just like everybody to introduce themselves on the board and your qualifications. Thank you. Could that be possible? I would like to meet y'all.
We've got a doctor, we've got a lawyer, we've got a veterinarian, we've got a person who has 19 different
Just,
degrees.
I think we can.
I just wanna meet y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, this
We
is
meet
all
every,
I just wanna meet y'all.
Lisa, I think you can start.
Sure, so I'm Lisa Johnson.
Hi.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
You too.
So I hold a master's in public health. I have a history of an oral health professional, but I'm a professor of health sciences, so. I'm an
Awesome.
educator.
Dr. Laura Holig, I am a veterinarian with 25 years of experience. I work in research at Brown.
Nice school, yeah.
People are still waiting to enter. Somebody's messaging right now, they can't hear the meeting, because they're
Oh,
waiting.
okay, I got you.
Sorry, thanks.
So usually they come in as just as a participant, so,
No, but thank you.
okay.
Good. Okay, my name is Glenn French, I'm an attorney, and I've been chairman of the Board of Health now for, I think about 25 odd years.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Philippe Jane, I'm a physician, and I've been on the board of health 15 plus years, 15, 17 years.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Swati Sane. I'm a pediatrician, work locally, and I've been on the board for about 6 years or so. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
My name is Isabella Caruso. I'm the Health and Human Services Director, and my background is in Masters of Public Health and Epidemiology.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Chris, health agent. I'm a registered sanitarian and my background is in environmental science and I'm an inspector.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Right back to Michaela.
I'm Michaela Petty, I'm the regional epidemiologist for Northborough.
What is that?
So I track disease trends over time.
yeah.
My specialty is infectious disease, but at local health we have our hands on.
Wow, yeah.
I'm Jessica. I'm the admin for health.
Nice to meet you all.
You as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Oh,
Perfect.
okay, well, we'll open it up to anyone who'd like to speak.
Start.
All right,
Okay. Hi, my name is Bethany Seppi. I live at 190 Howard Street. And I found out about this yesterday, just through the article that the Community Advocate released. I think most people did. And I appreciate Mr. French, you initiating this meeting by explaining what the goals of this board, because that was my first question, is like, what is the
Where to
idea
go,
here?
yeah.
Where is the direction exactly that this is heading in? So I wrote this whole thing and now of course I take half of it out, so bear with me, but I don't think a lot of the agricultural people in this community would have any issues with maintaining chickens in a hygienic or properly facilitated environment. I think we're all in this industry because we agree that that should be how things are handled. But I came to this town 4 years ago. I've been a teacher in Marlborough for 13 years. And I was looking for a place to raise my family in more of this country, rural, suburban, perfect combination town that Northborough is. And the more people I hear about from agriculture in this town, I keep hearing the same comments made. And it's very disheartening to see that the town is moving away from its farming origins. I don't think that a lot of the local farmers or livestock owners are feeling that the community appreciates them these days. And at this rate, which we have Applefest, which is part of our roots, our heritage, we pride ourselves on being a farming community with those roots. To remove something as simple as a rooster on our properties or 24 chickens seems like we should be changing the name of Applefest to change our changing cultural values as a town. I think all the witness houses that we've been advertising, look at the history of Northborough. We've been around since the revolution. These houses are something we're proud about. Those houses all had chickens and a rooster, if not more. Personally, in the past, when I've bought chickens, they say that they're sexed. You don't necessarily know you're getting all hens, even though they say they're getting all hens. I ended up with 5 hens and a rooster. I didn't want the rooster, but I ended up with it. My daughter fell in love with it. Am I gonna go in my backyard and cull it? No. I don't own these animals anymore, like they are now with a friend in a different town. But sometimes that kind of thing happens too, and we're put in a situation where we're dealing with that, and we can find others to help us, but that's something to consider. I also wanted to point out that there's a rise in the homestead movement across America, especially with people in the millennial generation like myself. And homesteading is a constitutional right protected indirectly under the Fifth and 14th Amendments, protecting against the deprivation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. So the argument, I'm sure you can attest to this as a lawyer, that if you legally acquire land, the government cannot forcibly prevent you from using it for farming or homesteading without due process or just compensation. And in addition, the Dover Amendment in Massachusetts protects certain land uses, including agriculture, from being unreasonably restricted. So that definition of unreasonable, what is unreasonable? Is it going to be, one rooster and a dozen chickens per acre? Or you need to have 5 acres? I think clarity and transparency to the community and allowing more community involvement rather than a 24-hour heads up that something like this is even being discussed is something that the town would appreciate, and the members of the agricultural industry would feel more respected. Maybe it was out there, I'm on maternity leave, so I'm kind of living under a rock. But the only way I was able to find out about it was scrolling on my phone while waiting for my daughter to fall asleep long enough in my arms to transfer her. And then I was able, while she was asleep, to make a phone call, so I wasn't working, to find out that this was in fact happening. The meeting was today. So I had about 30 hours heads up, and most people are working, they don't have that kind of time on their hands. So I'm worried that making Northborough more urban is gonna be less like what this town prides itself on, and it will drive a lot of those families that have been a part of this town and want to be a part of this town, and just make it less right. We don't limit dogs because they bark. It's a very big dog in my neighborhood. I wish I knew what house he lived in, it's through the trees, I don't know. But we don't limit dogs because they bark. We don't limit horses because they neigh. I don't understand why we would limit chickens because the coop is unsightly or because a rooster crows. If it became a nuisance, definitely. Growing up in Ashland, I know a dog that constantly barked, the neighbors complained, and it became a thing, but that should be, I feel like, on a case by case basis and not like a one fits all kind of thing. So it's just fine. Sorry, I think I'm over.
That's okay.
My apologies.
I turned the volume up.
With respect, thank you very much for hearing me out.
Thank you. We have had several meetings on this. I don't know if they've been on the agenda or if it's just that. But we meet every second Tuesday of the month. The agenda is posted on the website. So there have been several meetings on this issue already. This is just the first one where we've really invited the public to come and speak. Not that we haven't had public come and speak previously, because we like to hear what the public has to say. We all have our differences of opinions, and so while it is a surprise, I suppose, it hasn't been laid out like that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I just think maybe there was I guess unless we're stalking the town page, for something big like this, I wish maybe it's something that we can address as a town, like a way for the community to kind of know what's happening rather than check every agenda of every board that meets. I don't know, but that's just totally irrelevant. Sorry.
This is a very speak, and I read about it, and I can't, so I don't know what you're reading, but this is very good.
Our agendas are posted. That's the best I can tell you. They're posted every month, and they're posted outside here. And short of, knocking on people's doors, I'm not really quite sure how else to get out to the town that we're having meetings. So, but that's that. It's already happened. We're still here. We've invited the public. You're here. And so now we'll take, somebody else wants to,
I can't shut up,
we get to 3 minutes.
respectively. I've been in this town for almost 40 years. I own 35 acres up there. Pay a lot of taxes. The agenda on being invited to these, and we have to find out that, we're supposed to find out that, okay, this is, I don't understand the agenda of this board. We are farm owners, I own a farm. My daughter-in-law has a rescue on our property. Does a wonderful job rescuing equines, right? We all need some help from you. We care about animals. We own the property. I pay $12,000 a year in taxes to the town. Me, us, myself, right? That's a lot of money, right? And then I just look at you people and your agenda is, you know, I don't get it. This town was built on rural and farms, Davidians, barbarians, they're all friends of ours. They made this town. They were the backbone of this town. And then you all sit here and tell us that these people can't have chickens and on property, and we have permits. We spend a lot of taxes, we pay a lot of money. She spends a fortune on her rescuing equine animals. And my property, our property is so far beyond, nobody can hear them. I'm up in the middle of nowhere and I don't get it, you know. In the town for almost like 35, 40 years, my gosh, you know, guys. We're farmers, barbarians, Davidians. We made this town what it is back in the day. And now you're putting regulations. I'm gonna end with this. Okay. I'll stop.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Hi, Caitlin Kearney. I live at 22 East Mason Road, so I live next door to the house that sparked this debate and some of these conversations. At the beginning of the meeting, and I'm sure the people on the call did not hear, you spoke and said that you're not going to get rid of chickens, right? You're going to get rid of roosters. This conversation is not about whether or not we're getting rid of chickens. It's about whether or not there's going to be certain protocols or anything related to having chickens in your property. Can you explain like what rules or regulations are on the table for having chickens?
Well, we're looking at, when I say we're not getting rid of chickens, this is a consensus of the board. That we're not, you know, we've gone through this now for 2 weeks, we've done a lot of reading, a lot of discussions. So basically what we said is we're not going, the consensus of the board is we're not gonna wipe out chickens, okay? And also the consensus of the board is roosters seem to be a nuisance. The only thing that comes out of roosters from the town bulk position is that they're very noisy. And I appreciate, you know, I know I'm funny, but I would appreciate it's a real thing. We get the complaints, and so this was brought up. All
What
right,
about dogs?
Dogs too. Now about chickens, about roosters.
So it's just roosters.
Roosters, what about roosters?
I'm confused. Are we, is it just roosters we're talking about, or are we also talking about chickens?
No, we're talking about chickens, other animals, horses. We already had regulations for horses. The town's got those. I know, I was here when they were drafted. So horses came under the gun too. But we're talking about other animals as well. It's just that this particular issue started with someone raised the issue of chickens. That chickens were, you know, and there's a lot of chickens. There's a lot of people who are now having chickens in their yard, which is fine. You know, it's fine to most people, but not all. And so that's what started the conversation.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at, you know, regulations as far as keeping them clean. Keeping other people, if you're living in a 1/4 acre lot and your neighbor who's now got 12 chickens and they're sitting on your
Yeah,
your border on your property line. And you come to me and say, hey, I paid a lot of money.
yeah,
I paid a lot of money for taxes and now I've got chickens sitting in my side yard.
get that.
They're 2 feet off of my property line. It's all coming up. So that's what we're trying to address. It's been brought to our attention and now we're working on it. And that's what this is all about, to hear what everybody has to say. So with regards to chickens, there's certain setbacks from property lines that we're looking at. There's numbers according to property sizes that we're looking at. There's coop sizes per animal that we're looking at, and not just chickens, other animals as well. But so that's where we're at right now. And I just wanted to let everyone know consensus to kind of cut to the chase a little bit is that we're not here to ban chickens. And some people want them banned. We're not here to do that. We could have gone that way, but the board doesn't want
Great, awesome, thank you, that's
it. Okay?
clarifying information,
So this is
coming here.
basically to try and walk the thin line between the urban sprawl and the agricultural foundings of the town.
Well, good luck banning them, because
We're not going to ban them.
I know, but
I'm not gonna get in an argument about it.
I know, but if you did, oh my God, you got big issue. Cause how can you regulate that? Like if.
Yeah.
I'm just having a conversation, you know?
Anyway,
Yeah.
That being said, so I agree that there should be rules and regulations where when you have livestock or animal on your property. What I'm here for is that I live next door to the house that has the chickens that spurred this conversation. And I just wanna put on record that these chickens I heard them, I don't see them, they're very quiet, they're well maintained, it's very clean. I have no issues with that, and I think with a lot of people being impacted, living directly next door with no fence or anything in the way, I would absolutely be impacted. And I think it's a slippery slope when you try to tell somebody what they can and cannot do on their own property. Especially when it's within the rules of the town that you're allowed to have chickens, as long as you're maintaining a certain amount of chickens and they're well kept and they're not dirty, you're not bringing wild animals into the yard or germs or anything like that. So I'm a huge advocate of having regulations, but also allowing people to have things on their property that they want at fall within guidelines to have.
we took a look at that setup
Yep,
that we're talking
it's
about.
great.
We had the building inspector out there, we had the animal control officer out there.
Chris, they did a
And
fantastic.
it all came back, thumbs up, everything
It was
was
great,
good.
huge property, they're allowed setback, incredibly quiet. And also on that, so there's also chickens at the end of our street, there's goats at the end of our street. So for me, if we're speaking about one particular person's home, then why aren't we talking about everybody else in the neighborhood? Where it's more.
I think we are talking about all everybody's homes and excuse me, but I'm on the other side of the house, so and I live down.
Well, who wants to speak next? We're not gonna get into it.
I think you have to protect.
We see the chickens, we hear the chickens.
Name and
Well,
address, please.
yeah.
Name and address.
Block 30 Bags Mason Road. You know, our major concern is it's close by to us, we can see them, we can hear them, but there's lots of
It is closer to our property.
you know, airborne.
Listen, address the
pathogens
board,
and-
please,
and
not the other
community
people.
diseases that come from chickens, and we're concerned about that. You know, we're both over 65, we have some health conditions and we're concerned that that's possible for us to get impacted by that.
Especially, I'm Joan from MD, I live on 30 Pandias. And we've been doing research and so we live on the other side and that will be closer to us. We've been talking to our neighbors and they said it is closer to our side. And because we asked them to even send their opinion. Anyways, I'm repeating myself. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous about speaking. So, in looking at the CDC and also talking to my PCP, we are concerned with Mr. Plasmosis which can be spread just from, it's airborne and it can just be spread from the chickens kicking up their bedding and such. So we're concerned with that, and I have heard them, and I have, since they've been there a little bit longer than my, Chris nicely came out, they, I could smell them. So, I understand no ban on chickens. But some regulations would be helpful, it could reduce the noise, it could reduce the germs, there are other germs that pass, but only the people who are in the food or chickens. And also, anytime you lower health, it minimizes the diseases. We also, oh, in talking about the town, Terry, we are very grateful to the group who did start this town. And we appreciate the farm still here, but usually they're on, I would assume, more than 2 acres. And the town's personality has changed with the people moving in. And, to your point, we don't pay for taxes. We've been here 33 years and our taxes are for 10 grand. So, that's another thing, the personality of the town is changing from not so varnished. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that, I just wanted to add,
For your name, please.
Debbie Ugo, 30 Samuel Danwell Road, she's down the street from and Children's Spa. So I've been here for 33 years too. And I came here with technology, with Data General and digital. That's when we came. We came from the Framingham area, Lexington area, Hartington area, because we wanted to be good school systems were number one, wanted a nice place to live. And it was a beautiful place, beautiful new subdivision. And that's I have high respect for farmers, high respect. I think it's wonderful. I can't wait. My grandson's coming next week. My daughter lives in Florida. We're gonna go right over to the apple picking farm, and he's gonna have a great time. He's 4 years old. But I came, I live on like a 3/4 acre lot. I came here because it was the suburbs. I came here because there were really smart people here too, I thought. And I also worked at Data General, like all the kids that interned, they were brilliant. I thought they were so smart. So between Southborough and Northborough, it has changed since the homesteading part that you're speaking about. And it's, I don't know, that's just my say. Like I said, if it was a bigger lot, I would be great, it would be great. But it's just, I think an acre's small, especially when like the woods take up half of it. That's another part you might want to consider too, is there are acre lots, but the acre isn't showing. It's only like a half acre. So it's a lot, it looks a lot bigger than if it would on an acre lot. If they had cut down the trees.
So would it be okay if they cut down the trees? And then push it back, put the chickens
I
back?
have nothing to say, but I would feel a lot better myself. I live a few houses down. If they went back a half acre that they could and stuck back there like other people do.
Gonna pay for that.
We ask everybody to, put your comments this way. And, is anyone else yes?
Allie Zecco, I live over at 151 Crawford. My biggest concern is that if we're putting regulations in, we actually take into account the welfare of the animals first. So things like banning roosters is extremely unethical. I know roosters are annoying. I have one that likes to be loud sometimes, but they help keep their flock safe, as well as they also keep their flock from fighting within themselves. So I think it's really unethical to say we just don't want them in town because they're loud, because that puts the chickens welfare at risk.
Well, if you have a farm that's 30 acres. Maybe a rooster could do okay on 30 acres. But if you've got a farm that's 1 acre, And you've got neighbors to the left of you and neighbors to the right of you.
I do. see your point.
Admittedly, to have a rooster on that would be somewhat of a,
It would be slightly annoying. I do understand that, but there are ways that you can soundproof your coop, and you can also do things like put bushes and hedges and trees to buffer your property sound-wise from your neighbors. But I think if in general, we want to put regulations in to help keep the peace between people, we have to also consider what's correct for the animals too. Including, yes, acre size, what's an ethical amount of space for your chickens.
that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Need a rooster to make eggs.
Right, well, we have someone speaking. Is that good? Mrs. Echo?
Sure.
Do you wanna come back?
Well, no, I was just asking my daughter-in-law, don't you need a rooster to, when the
You
chicken
do,
make eggs?
you can hire them. You can.
I
They have some-
They will lay eggs for
Oh, they'll lay eggs
They
without.
won't be,
Right.
They
They won't have.
on my farm, I did all livestock, cows, goats, horses. I'm not familiar with chicken, but I thought you needed a rooster with a chicken to make an egg, no?
No,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I digress, sorry.
it's okay.
We're gonna move to Zoom.
All right, we'll go to the Zoom.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
I think she was raising her.
Somebody's raising their hand.
Oh, sorry.
Christine, you were raising it first. I'll let you go.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Christine Fralachardi, 38 Samuel Gamwell Road. I know of the structure. I know of the family. They are a family that's been in town for, I want to say, about a decade, about 10 years. They have 3 children. They are active members in the community, in the church. And I have to say, I really think that we need to give them a little grace. They just moved in at the end of June. And as one of the members that are sitting on the side, the equine family or whoever was just speaking about the different types of plants and things that you can put into place so that the structures and the noise and all of that can be a buffer, all of that needs time to grow. This family just moved into the neighborhood. I feel like you need to give them a minute to get settled. You know, like trees don't grow that fast. I have no problem with the chickens. I think they're great. The family takes great care of it. Their daughter is going to an agricultural school to learn how to work with animals on farms, sustain them, and have them follow the regulations. I have no doubt that they are going to continue to follow all of the regulations. And if some things change, that's fine. But I think that they will make the changes that are necessary, and they are open to that. I feel as though they have done a very, very nice job of placement on their property. It is as far back as they could go right now. I mean, I know that I heard or I read somewhere, I think I listened to one of the meetings that somebody said that, you know, we are a neighborhood where people care about our property, and we do. And when this family moved in, they paid $1 million for their house. That raises our property value right away. I know that they like their plants. They had to transfer things. Like, it takes time to fix things. When I moved in, we didn't have everything fixed in 5 minutes. We didn't have everything where we wanted it exactly the month after we came in. I do believe that this family is doing a great job. And I don't know. I don't have any, I can't say much more right now. I'm running out of time.
Thank you. I can't read the last name, but it looks like the first name is Carolyn.
I won't fault you for that. It's a tough one. Carolyn Chow, 34 Thaddeus Mason Road. So 2 houses up from on the street from the house that sparked this discussion. I'd like to encourage the board here to separate perception from fact, and it sounds like you already are. The board, as you mentioned, has already confirmed that this homeowner is compliant and responsible. And as others have said, modern backyard chicken keeping, when done responsibly, does not pose a public health danger. Both the CDC and state agricultural agencies consistently emphasize that risks of salmonella are mitigated through hygiene, coop maintenance, etc. And so rather than restricting residents who are acting in good faith, I too am in agreement that balanced regulations make sense, just like neighboring towns have done, but setting reasonable standards without unfairly stigmatizing chicken coops as a quote unquote public health threat. I think, some of the concerns raised around odor and appearance really are no different than taking care of your dogs or your other pets, etc., that many people in this town also have. But as others have mentioned who live in the neighborhood, obviously these homeowners are doing a great job. And as you saw yourself, following, hygiene, etc. They're cleaning it regularly. They're properly taking care of it. I'd also like the board to consider the position of homeowners who are following every town rule and regulation. When neighbors are making unfounded accusations, it creates stress, conflict, and unnecessary expenses for these responsible residents. As Christine mentioned, they've just moved in. They've barely had a chance to get settled before all of this was piled on them. And we should help ensure that compliant families are supported and not being penalized for choosing to responsibly keep chickens within the guidelines the town has set. So in short, my ask would be focus on facts, fairness, set clear standards that are reasonable standards and not based off of fear or assumptions. Thank you.
I don't believe they have been unfounded.
Okay, we're on to somebody else. We know the positions. Who else do we have? Mike McLaughlin?
I think
David is.
Oh, I'm sorry. David Marcus.
I am David Marcus. I live at 18 Thaddeus Mason, so 2 houses down from the house that we're talking about in question. I honestly, I just was up there too earlier today because my kids were playing back there. Couldn't smell anything, and I was right up against the cage. So I don't know where these claims are. We can smell it. I've been up there many times and haven't smelled it, but that's really regardless of the point here. And the larger point here is that we don't make new laws or restrictions based on non-factual health complaints. It is always on the people making the claim to provide evidence. It is not up to everyone else to disprove them, though I'm pretty sure we could. Public health issues deserve legislation only when there is documented evidence and real risk. Here, there have been no documented cases of chickens transmitting diseases to humans in this area, nor also any evidence of coops increasing wild animal attacks in this area as well. I know that was another claim made in a different meeting that you guys had. To punish families who are simply living responsibly would be unnecessary and unfair. And that's all I really have to say.
Mr. Marcus, are you opposed to regulations that would ensure that all citizens who had chickens in their yard kept those chickens in a safe containment area with proper water and proper food and proper storage of the food? Is that something you're opposed to? Or is that something that seems to, irregardless of whether there are complaints of smell or not, is that something that you think is a reasonable exercise for public health?
I'm a research scientist, so if there is documented cases of any of this being adverse, then yes, please make legislation against it. But otherwise, I feel that the current legislation is probably fine. Obviously, legislation can adapt as things and new reports come in. But if we don't have credible evidence, I don't understand why we would be proactive without evidence that confirms this.
So you think it's unreasonable to have regulations that should be applied to all to keep their animals safe and clean? Is that unreasonable, or do I need an outbreak of bird flu before I jump in and initiate some sort of regulations for keeping of livestock?
If you have evidence to suggest that bird flu could spread, then yeah.
What if I have evidence that they've got 19 chickens in a shed? Now, do I just regulate when I say I'm talking about the board. Do we just regulate for that one shed? Or do we put some regulations in place to maybe make sure that someone doesn't have 19 chickens in one shed? You know, we're not banning people, we're not causing people any
No, I
aggravation
understand. I
with
understand that.
regards to proposing regulations to keep
But it-
livestock safe and clean.
Sure, and if there's a number where that's right, then enforce that. You know,
Right.
I don't make up numbers. I follow where the evidence goes. And so if the evidence leads to something particularly being harmful, then yes, then you would make legislation to protect the people from that type of thing. But I haven't seen, I did a search again, I found out about this today, so I was cramming before this. I haven't seen any articles about outspread of chicken viruses to humans in Northborough or the surrounding areas. I'm unaware of it. Has anyone brought forth that type of evidence?
Yeah, we've got some things on it, but here's a question. If I have evidence that the chickens on my property line are bothering my family, that I don't want them right up against my property line, does that warrant some sort of regulation? Or is
Well,
it
we
my
have,
tough luck?
I have a pool. I have a limit to how far I can keep my pool from my neighbor's property.
Okay.
I'm
And if
sure that
pool
there
doesn't
are
smell-
regulations on building structures with other property lines. That's all I'm
That's-
trying to say here.
That's all we're saying as well.
Can you share that data that you are speaking about?
What data?
The data that you just referenced on the town of Northborough having issues with chickens, with diseases or anything that would be sparking regulation?
I don't have, I've got.
Because right now it's hypotheticals.
No, we have in the past been handed, things from the CDC that contrary to chickens being a 1, 2, 3 healthy sort of thing.
Right.
That they can present some issues, but whether we give them, all the credence that the person who handed it to us wishes, or whether we take that in consideration, which is what we're supposed to do. We are a board of health here to protect the public health, and that's what we're here for.
And like I said, I think regulations are fine. I just think if we're talking about hypotheticals and we're talking about the town of Northborough, and if we're trying to do regulations in the town of Northborough, if we're changing something that historically has not been there, I think there should be data. If we're speaking about data, we should bring the data to the table that indicates what we should be changing based on the data, and not just, I think we should have chickens that can't go across somebody's property line, but like,
What is that?
like, is there data that shows there's been X many complaints about chickens crossing property lines? Has there been X many complaints in town where there's been diseases, smells, all of these different,
Well, or do you have any, like the CDC, go onto their website, that's all.
May I ask?
The CDC also outlines proper handling.
Bird flu in Northborough.
No,
And we're
not that
specific
I'm aware of,
talking about Northborough's regulations.
but I have
You
in
mentioned
the past had complaints
disease.
about chickens. I mentioned disease because we're not
Do you
gonna
have
claim that
data?
chickens don't have disease. I'm just saying that it has been presented, this is what people ask.
What
But
happened?
do you have data on specific people with bird flu disease from Northborough diagnosed medically?
If I,
Yeah.
we do not have any local.
That's all I'm asking, that's all. Yeah.
In the past year, we've had approximately, don't quote me, a
Yeah.
handful of nuisance complaints regarding roosters.
But no data on disease,
Correct.
that's all.
2 quick things. When I moved here and I did some work with the conservation department to clear land, my neighbors made a huge fuss about it. Turns out many of them egressed onto my property and got caught. But some of them were just like, oh, well, if I don't like what you do, I'll just put up a fence. So for the unsightliness and that kind of stuff, like, then it should be on that person. If they don't want to look at it, they put up a fence. But I don't think any livestock owner or animal owner would want to put their animals at risk. Animals are an investment. They're expensive. I've had horses for 20 years. I give my horses all the basic vaccines because I want them to be healthy. If there's a possum in the woods and it comes into my farm, I want to make sure my horse is not going to get equine encephalitis. So I protect the grain. I, make sure he's vaccinated. And I don't think anyone who owns chickens, who owns goats, who owns horses would object to anything like that. So I think that those kind of regulations protect the animals. We've talked about that too. And I think that's a great step that, animal control does in other towns, Board of Health does in some towns. And I don't think anybody thinks that is like, I don't think that's where people are upset.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yes.
Margot Lee, 49 Lincoln Street. So I'm a senior research scientist with a focus on food and environmental applications. And I'm an animal owner, including chickens. I also live in a neighborhood with at least 4 families who have chicken coops. And I want to share a few quick points about backyard chickens and public health. First, there's no evidence that properly cared for backyard chickens broadly pose a threat to community health. The common concerns, like I know we talked about histoplasmosis, which is also found in bat dropping. So if we're concerned about chickens, we should also be concerned about bats in the attics, but I digress. But also salmonella. Those are the same concerns that we already manage with store-bought eggs and meat. These are risks that are controlled through basic hygiene, such as hand washing and proper food handling. In fact, the coop in question has already been inspected and found to be fully compliant with best practices, meaning that waste, pests, and odor are already responsibly managed. Secondly, backyard chickens can provide real community benefits. They support local security for food and by supplying fresh eggs and lower the environmental footprint. They help control tick-borne illness by eating ticks as they forage. They also provide families, especially children, with education about animal care and where food comes from. In this particular case, the chickens are therapy animals for an autistic child, offering emotional support and improving quality of life. Finally, it's important to treat chickens fairly compared to other animals. Dogs, cats, and rabbits can also carry diseases, but we rely on responsible ownership and common sense standards, not blanket restrictions. Since compliance has already been demonstrated, adding burdensome regulations would penalize responsible owners without demonstrated health benefits. Backyard chickens, when responsibly managed, are no more a threat to public health than any other household animal. In fact, they're an asset to families and our communities. Thanks.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
Yes, very nice.
Thank you.
And is there anyone else?
One more thing, does anybody eat chicken?
I'm vegetarian.
Joe,
That's why.
Oh, yeah, I do.
yeah,
I eat roosters too.
that's all. Happy.
But well, thank you. I think unless there's someone I don't see. Good?
Nobody.
All right. I think that's it for the evening. What we're gonna do is look at various proposed regulations, kind of pick through. See, again, for those of you worried that we're gonna cancel our chickens, we're not. Roosters listening now, and maybe we can figure something out with them. Again, I think we're opposed to having them if you've got 1/4 acre lots or 3/4 acre lots even.
It
It's
would
a
be
bit tough.
original alarm clocks though,
I
remember?
know, but we've come a long way. Our phones, we look at a rooster on our phone.
I'm getting old, I don't know.
So that's pretty much what we're going to do. And I appreciate everybody coming out and listening.
Is there a next
and
step to this?
Speaking their position.
Is there a next step to this or?
Well, we're gonna have another meeting and we're gonna look at, this is what I was just getting to. Various proposals as far as, there's a lot of moving parts to this. It's not just chickens yes, chickens no. There's a lot to it. So we're going to keep going with it, but we're not going to go too slow on this one. I think we kind of beat it up in the past 3 months.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Once the board comes to a final draft, we would have a public hearing that would be advertised 14 days before the meeting, and then similar comment period. So you would have the final draft that the board created in your hand, and you would be able to comment on said regulation. So not
Advertise where?
so
I'm not like a computer girl. So,
I know, by law, it's 2 newspapers, but we can also work with the community advocate.
Thank you. I have one question.
Okay,
If we wanted to submit suggestions in regards to what would be ethical regulations, where could we do that?
You can send them to me. I can either give you my email address or you can find it on the website, but I am more than happy to take them and then we'll send them to Glenn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also look at other towns that are similar sizes to our boroughs. If they have something in their regulations that address this issue. You know, it's not like we go copy it and put it here or stamp it onto ours. We come up with our own, we take what they've done, how long they've had in place, have they had any issues with it. So we try to do our own due diligence to see other towns similar size. We're not gonna compare ourselves with Worcester. It doesn't make any sense, right?
you can't.
Yeah, no, not compare
I mean, you can't.
right?
Hello?
We will compare ourselves to maybe Sterling, Littleton, other towns similar size, similar makeup of the community that that may have
you
regulations.
got Westboro, you got Southborough.
That may have regulations in place, see what they have, see what they've done, how they've handled it, how long they've had it in place, and what issues they've come up with. So that's what that's what Isabella and her team, they get that information from us and they send it to us and review that.
Also, you punch all your stuff in a computer and it all comes out from different towns.
Yeah.
No,
Girl,
I don't know.
oh,
I don't know what you do.
I would just reach out to each director.
I'm an old fashioned girl.
I know, sometimes I reach out to each director or sometimes they have them on their website. And we're also asking our animal control officer, Jennifer Condon, to also provide recommendations.
Let me ask you, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be, do you still have a dog officer here in Northborough?
So, Boardman Animal Control does animal control for dogs and animals.
Cause I've called and they said there isn't one. Cause we've had, you talk about chickens, I'm sorry, I digress. Talk about chickens, we got this big, huge white dog. Very menacing looking, white shaggy and barking, and he comes on our farm, 35 acres, comes over, barks,
Yeah.
intimidates
We've tried
the
calling
six horses.
animal control and it never.
Nothing, I mean, so you're talking about chickens, this dog comes over at least once a month, menacing, right? I really wanna take out my 12 gauge, but I won't, whatever. But. So. I call here, I've called different areas and I've called the police, they're like, you can't, I've called here. So, okay, so you're talking about chickens, this menacing dog, big, huge, white, I don't even know what it is. And he comes and just barks, and I've got a little teeny 6-pound dog, right? No, you guys, you can't do anything about that for me and her horses. And now we're talking about chickens. I'm sorry, like I said, old school, in front of this board right now, health department, I don't get it. I don't know what to do.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I know
There
it's
is
apples and
animal
oranges,
control.
I know.
There
What?
is animal control.
I've called, she's called, we've called. Nobody,
And there are regulations against
I,
letting dogs run loose. There are already regulations against letting dogs run loose
say,
because they can be a menace
see,
and a nuisance.
but nobody, and
Their
this
neighbors.
has come up many times, many, all different
I
times.
don't understand.
I know.
I would just
But there's,
reach out
I
to me.
call animal control here in Norfolk and they don't respond. I call the police, the police say, that's not I've called even the wildlife. And this dog is really menacing, right?
Certainly on the website, there's gotta be animal control.
Yeah. Reach out to me.
I've
and
taken
I can-
pictures of it, we've posted it online. So I mean, what I'm saying is, it's a catch-22. I'm talking about this, this dog could be a menace to her rescue horses, and now we're talking about chickens.
Yeah,
I digress, I'm sorry,
we've
but
already handled dogs, it's just a matter of catching this one.
I don't wanna go near
Taken
it.
care of.
I'm afraid that it's going to attack me or my little dog.
I don't know why the
Okay,
police.
let me ask you, Board of Health, what if this little dog attacks my dog and kills it and takes off? What do I do?
It's not a Board of Health issue, but I would
I
say
know,
it's
I'm here right now.
police issue and it's a animal control issue.
But if you have trouble getting in contact, please reach out to me and I will facilitate.
To you?
Yes.
Okay, could I take your card before I leave?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much. That's all. I'll stop talking.
I just have one quick question, and this last time I say CDC, last time. But you're Laura, you're a veterinarian?
Yes.
And what is your view on the CDC's view on backyard chimney coops? Do you believe it's a bunch of buck, or is it? I believe it's
In all
true.
fairness, tonight is my first night on the board.
Oh,
I'm not an AV practitioner, so I have not had the chance to review what is currently on the CDC's website. I would say in general, as a practicing veterinarian, I do look to the CDC for guidance.
Okay.
And I also do perform literature searches, which I again have not done
Yeah.
in advance of tonight's topic. But I mean, there are data out there that can be investigated and applied towards developing these regulations.
Thank you.
Good. Now, they're all invited to stay.
One last comment.
There is.
I just had a question. In the community advocate article, there was mentioned that animal owners who already had this, there was talk of something like a grandfather clause. Is that something that this board is considering, and like, how would you go about, I guess, compiling data for those people?
There still would be a requirement for a permit. All right, and then I think on each case by case basis. The decision would be made with regards to whether that particular site needed any tweak.
And that would be for all animals, or we just look at chickens?
The horses are already covered.
Right, but I know, like, in case.
Well, I don't know if
Because I
the
looked at-
llamas are gonna fit under this thing or not. There's all I can think of driving at them, well, we got llamas. You got goats, you got geese, you got turkeys.
We have the wild birds that also have, we don't have regulations for feeding them and they have bird flu and. we worry
Well,
about
I'm
them.
not saying, I'm being picked on for my use of the word bird flu, that was simply a
That's not the-
phrase thrown out there with regards to some sort of diseases that's associated with birds. I don't know of any chickens that cause bird flu. And I just, said it for effect. All right, so I withdraw the word bird flu from my statements and we'll just go with from there. We could. All right? I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
We are discussing flu clinics. If anyone wants to stick around.
Get your flu shot.
Run to public schools.
Well, somebody's bag is under that.
Oh, that's fine, thank you so much. Yeah. Well, good, yeah, now go.
All you have a wonderful night.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet y'all.
What do you want to say about flu clinics? Anything?
But very quick, flu clinics, we have one tomorrow. We're partnering with Wegmans at the Northborough
that's good.
Senior Center. It is a high dose and standard dose. So high dose is recommended for 65 plus. Then we are doing our actual 5th annual drive-through clinic through the Greater Boroughs Partnership for Health on Saturday, October 4th at the high school from 9 to 12. That will be all standard dose. And then we are doing another clinic at Town Hall on Tuesday, October 14th. From 1 to 3 p.m. and then 4 to 6. So trying to do day and evening hours. And all of those registration links will be available on our website and social.
Good.
Not just for the residents of Northborough or us.
So Greater Boroughs Partnership for Health is how we get the vaccine. So Boylston, Northborough, Southborough, and Westborough.
Oh,
And we're doing clinics in each of the towns. But the drive-through is the whole.
Tremendous, you happen to be in Norfolk from Westwood, I guess you can get it.
Right.
But I don't think they ask you for ID or driver's license, maybe it's not.
No.
No.
Oh, that's interesting. That's good. COVID-19 vaccines.
Gonna pass it to Michaela for a very quick update on where we are with COVID vaccines.
Brief, as much as I can. It's still in the works essentially. By the end of September, we should have a much clearer picture. What we do know right now is the FDA labeled use is solid for those 65 and older. 6 months to 64 with a risk condition. As far as CDC's website, that is still a pretty exhaustive list. There has been professional guidance that has also been published since ACIP has yet to meet. So American Academy of Pediatrics and ACOG have their own recommendations that kind of add to the lack of recommendations at this point. ACIP is scheduled to meet September 18th and 19th. So hopefully we'll have more clarity there. And as far as Massachusetts specific goes, the governor has worked with insurance companies and DPH to ensure that insurance coverage in Massachusetts is guaranteed. And there's a standing order from DPH so that people can receive vaccines at pharmacies. The DPH official schedule will also come out at the end of September. So like I said, as far as COVID vaccines go right now, we know for sure 65 and up. But the rest of the recommendations will be solidified at the end of September. And professional guidance from American Academy of Pediatrics and ACOG will fill in those special populations until. Also happy to answer questions afterwards, but that's the brief update.
But any person 6 months and above wanting a COVID vaccine can get it in the state of Massachusetts.
Yes, in the state of Massachusetts. And if they're under 5 years, they have to go to a pediatrician. They can't get it in a pharmacy.
Okay. So 6 months or older, you don't need one of these
Not enough.
limits or
Not
health
enough.
limits.
Yeah. They may still ask you, since CVS and Walgreens are national chains, they may still have the self-attestation about high-risk conditions, but in the state of Massachusetts, that's not a barrier.
And you don't need a prescription at this point.
Correct. The prescription is the DPH standing order.
Alright. Oh, that's good. What is an arbovirus? Am I supposed to know this?
Mosquito-borne disease.
Oh, okay. You got another one. A big virus.
There you go. Pandemic.
It's gonna ban mosquitoes.
Very, very quickly, West Nile virus, Northborough is still moderate risk, so that has not changed in the last couple of weeks, and then triple E, we are low risk. Triple E across the state, there has been no human or animal cases this season. West Nile virus, there have been 4 human and 1 animal case. So we will continue to watch out and provide health education through social media and the town website. And we will do a news press release if it were to increase.
Does that mean there's no further sprayings?
Central Mosquito is still spraying until
right.
the end of.
Typically go till mid-September, sometimes later September, depending on the weather, but they're winding down this time of year.
Yeah. There's usually some triple E by now. Kind of like New Bedford and down there.
Enjoy.
Haven't been any more.
Yeah.
Think.
Good.
Good thing.
Alright, well, that's about it. We got approval of the previous meetings. Minutes. I saw one, where away.
Uh-oh, you found it more than.
Last paragraph, page 1. It says Glenn moved. This shouldn't be like whatever we call me,
Oh, yes,
right? It's so familiar
maybe with Glenn French.
in French. That works. Chairman French,
Got it.
over there.
Yeah, if you be the person.
Chairman French, right. Everything else looked good except the print is so small.
Is it?
I think it's very small.
I think it's,
Isn't it small?
I can read it. It's
Like two cents.
Nice, Jack.
I know that they don't work when things that small.
Font like the books in the library.
Like the 14 print that we use on the meeting notice.
Maybe it was glasses.
Yeah.
They have a box that it's on their recreation. I move to approve it
With that
with that.
change. I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Abstains.
that's okay, we didn't ask.
Okay, can we all, because we're meeting her for the first
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Can we have an intro, please? I mean, I'm
Yes.
Yeah, oh, no.
But
Sure, so Laura Honig, I've lived here in Northborough for about 20 years. I'm board certified in laboratory animal medicine and I practice at Brown University. I oversee a staff of about 50 people. And we run the Center for Animal Resources and Education, so primarily overseeing all research, supporting any research that utilizes animal models.
welcome.
Thank you.
We need a veterinarian here.
Yes.
Good time.
I
right
went
time.
apropos.
I had not read the CDC's website, so.
Listen,
Yeah, but now.
I think we have. A couple of these people have actually given us the CDC guidelines.
I think we spent more time talking about chickens here now than we did all 4 years of veterinary school. I really, not one of the primary things, so we spent a lot of time. on it.
Just one thank you for sending those two articles. So that was kind of helpful.
The animals bring everybody up,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. The horses.
I did say there are a lot of chicken owners in town.
Yeah, there are.
I'm no longer one, but I have been.
Yeah, I mean, there are.
They are.
Do we have an estimate, how much percentage?
So our animal control officer, so barn inspections are done annually and they're required by the state.
Okay.
And that ranges, barn, I feel like it's a little bit confusing, it's from 1 chicken to 10 horses. So her estimate was 27 last year, but she thinks that's
Just for chickens.
all barn.
Oh, all barn.
But she thinks that's an
Under, that's under.
because that would require them to
Come in.
call
Yeah.
animal control. So when we find out about an animal, we refer them to her, just so, again, she's just checking for animal safety, but 27 was last.
Just like dogs have to be licensed, right? You need to register your dog so they can keep track of the vaccinations, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of- I think it would be helpful to have that too, so that just be, no. Not that one actually get chicken.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't apply for a permit, we're really not gonna know.
Exactly.
And your neighbor's not gonna know you didn't apply for a permit,
Exactly.
unless they probably will come down and cross
Dogs, right? I mean, if you want, I mean, unless you're getting them at the veterinary, point. So like if you have a dog and you don't take it to a veterinarian and you don't license it, you're not gonna know what you don't.
You're not gonna know.
Exactly.
And there's
Exactly.
ways around all these things.
Right.
Right.
But you know, to the point that was made tonight, many people who go to the bother of having chickens, it is a fair amount sometimes. But it's a fair amount of responsibility, right? So we
And-
wanted to take those measures to get a permit or do the right thing.
Because they're,
In general,
they're foul. You know, they were looking to get the roosters grandfathered in too at the same time.
Yeah.
That.
I would look at it like I said, if there's a big property,
Yeah, then it's.
you know, and you wanna have a rooster there, or you're in the middle of. You're in the middle of Tugas Farm and Davidian Farm and. That's all it up there,
Yeah, that is one, so.
you know.
well, you know, I don't know how many complaints we've had, because I don't get that information. We get it as a group, but you'll hear more, and Glenn, you probably hear more. But in terms of the ethical treatment of chickens, the hens, there is a pecking order and they're mean and they really hurt each other. So we didn't have a rooster, but it was terrible to see how cruel they could be to each other. So if you had enough space and you could put in some sound barriers so that they weren't so loud in the morning. And if you're not getting complaints from neighbors, is it worth to at least entertain that thought? And then it becomes more of a nuisance than up the regulation. But
So you're saying that roosters keep order in the hen house?
do. They protect the chickens and they prevent the chickens from pecking each other. 'Cause they'll peck each other to death sometimes. And we've seen close calls, so,
It's
very
getting worse.
upsetting.
To that point, I don't think there is a one size fits all. I think the regulations would be very helpful to help us in the extreme cases, because I think 90% of people do a great job at maintaining their hen houses.
I think the
What-
size, the cool.
Exactly.
The correct place.
I think the regulations,
Chickens.
exactly,
you know,
it'll be
all that
helpful.
stuff.
Like what you said, we'll have someone come, we have 20 chickens in the shed, and regulations involving us actually.
I've seen it.
Of course.
Yeah.
On top of the same thing with roosters, I mean, it's a hell of a lot different from Tooth's Farm having rooster versus someone on quarter acre. So
Yeah.
I think just having those regulations, a very general guideline, just kind of gives us the teeth we need to basically come up with a compromise.
So that's what I want to do, keep it simple.
Yeah.
I can't get into the whole thing.
Is there a ratio, how many roosters to how many chickens?
I wouldn't know. If we did-
There are ratios out there, but you know, it depends. A lot of what you're gonna find on chickens is geared towards production, and we're not talking about production,
Okay.
you know, so
So
like.
one rooster would be.
And yeah, I mean, I think to me, the rooster piece gets more to the size of the property and abutting. And I don't know how you, I mean, they can be noisy, she's right about sexing, and I know like. Farm place, tractor farms fly, yeah, I know, I mean, there is no,
Guarantee.
there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
It's challenging to sex them, so. You know, every spring they sell them, and every spring people go and buy them, and every spring someone gets a surprise. Cause they thought they were buying hens. Even the Murray McMurray and the other like online places you can purchase, it's the same deal. They might have a slightly better accuracy rate than maybe Tractor Supply does, but you are potentially gonna end up with people who end up with roosters.
There's no way to know.
No,
Yeah.
definitively not, no.
Jeez.
But I don't know, you know, in terms of noise, I thought about too, the odor. Does anybody complain about composting? Our biggest regulations on composting, like that was the other, like when we were talking about odor, I was thinking to myself, well.
Flashes away. Doesn't tend to be, I mean, just my personal experience.
Yeah, did we know how,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you looked at like,
Yes.
okay, and do they require like permitting process, is that how they're equipped?
Depends on the town, there's some towns that are much like us, there's regulations, and that's a lot of nearby towns. But some of them we find, typically towns of like comparable size to us around us, they're very general regulations about.
They're just, the ones that I was reading,
Yeah.
they were like Hudson, I forget in order, but it was just get a permit.
Yeah.
You want chickens, get a permit, but it didn't say limits,
Limits and all.
didn't say anything. It's just like, get a permit.
I think the most common ones are whether or not roosters are permitted, and
Yeah.
of course, there's always, you know, opportunities for variances, people. In terms of as well as how many birds you can have for lot size, or some
Right.
just set. Straight, this is the amount of birds you can have, but agricultural areas are exempt. It's all things to.
But I think the owners would be responsible to know, okay, I don't wanna have 200 chickens on a quarter acre lot.
Right, exactly.
I would believe that.
What if it gets carried and you got a rooster, right? Because like, I have the rooster. And then the next thing you know, the chickens are out of control
That would be an
and
issue.
they don't know what to do with them, like dogs at Canada. People with like
Be an issue.
30 dogs in their house. And they
I
wind
can
up on the news.
I can send some sample regulations, but nearby, Westboro, Hudson, Framingham,
Framingham had a comprehensive
Grafton has some regulations.
Grafton,
city,
That's.
but it had like lot sizes,
Yeah.
goats and.
That's urban, that's, I mean, that, I don't know if we can compare ourselves to that.
Yeah.
I mean, Westwood would be fine, Stockbrook.
Had this not come up, we would have never had a regulation, we wouldn't have 3 months worth of this
Yeah.
Are there,
discussion, we really did need them.
are there specific towns that you'd be interested in looking at?
I did send some information that I thought, my thought in reading what other towns were doing within maybe like a 25-mile radius was to look at some of the ideas and maybe choose a few of those and talk about them. And so I did send it to the board and we'll share it with you if it's worth it, if
I
they
think it'd be
just seem to
super
put sharing, but
I
I found it online. And I was hoping Isabella may have more that we could look at. Westboro is very chicken welcoming, friendly, thank you, chicken friendly. There's a lot of farmers in Westboro, so
Yeah.
I don't know. maybe you wanna look at Sudbury, maybe you know, so look around.
Sudbury had a decent one,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think similar sized towns,
Okay.
but
so that was one of them I read that was.
And again, it doesn't have to be word, you know, what do we like,
No.
what fits our.
Yeah.
That's great.
I find it-
Yeah.
We have to pick the high points that we're considering, like setback and numbers
Yeah.
and then just
Yeah.
find something that fits.
Most of what I found that these local regulations are, it's just codifying best practices. By just saying,
Right.
all right, we're holding you to the best practices,
So,
so it gives us those teeth.
I'm sorry, Chris. The one question I still have is, are we going all in with regards to all the animals? You know, the Noah's Ark approach, or are we just gonna focus on the, I just wanted to do the chickens.
That's what we
But Jordan, whatever her name
yeah,
was,
then you come up, so were you thinking fowl as well, like ducks and
turkeys.
Okay.
We've
But I
had
don't-
some complaints about goats.
Oh, so goats, yeah, it's,
It's a lake thing, they make
they
noise.
eat everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then I go
Goats,
in-
llamas,
Yes,
um,
donkeys, I think probably fit under horses.
How about, well, previously we were just focusing on poultry or fowl.
yeah, let's just,
Yeah.
let's just focus on that.
But there was like town council or somebody, she wanted us to
I
look
think
at this,
animal control.
want an overall approach to
Recommended
this.
livestock.
Which I said, too soon for me.
Well, how about one at a time?
Yeah.
That's what I, as the need comes,
The need comes, yeah.
I say we get out of this mess with the chickens. Done with this.
And I don't understand what you would say about animal control.
I don't understand
That
that.
didn't make sense.
We were-
I can facilitate that.
Are we done with this? Can we, I moved to adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, I do.
It's not the airway, but all those in favor?